NRA Whittington Center outside Raton, New Mexico poses an intense challenge for extreme long-range sharpshooters. Its rugged terrain, blustery winds, and shimmering heat make every shot a complex fusion of skill, nerve, and faith. This is not a place for the faint of art. Welcome to the King of 2 Miles, presented by McMillan Fiberglass Stocks. Coming to you from the NRA Whittington Center in Raton, New Mexico. I'm Ted Jones. Joining me in the booth today, Paul Phillips, our expert analyst. Take a look at the qualifying format. They get 5 shots on target number 1, only 3 shots on the next 3 targets. Here's the problem. You have to hit at least 1 time on each of those 4 targets. If you don't, you are eliminated. Where are the targets? Well, 1,550 yards to target number 1. Target number 2, only 1,715 yards, about 200 more yards. It's difficult as we break a mile on target 3, 1,890 yards. And the size, 30 inches by 37 inches. Target 4, we're over 1 mile, 1.13 miles. One of the challenges for an event like King of 2 Miles is determining a hit or miss at such a great distance. So logistics and targeting director Walt Wilkinson has gotten creative.
The camera system that we use is made by a small company called Target Cam. All right, it's the best thing that I have seen yet because of, 1, external power. I can put a long-range antenna on it. I can also stand there on the spot and change lenses out. If I need a wide-angle lens because I'm 15 yards from the target or I'm 100 yards from the target, I simply unscrew the lens and then put another one on there so that this gives me that flexibility. There's no way to put a camera 10, 15 feet or even yards in front of a target that's hanging 35 feet in the air off of a cliff. All right, so I had to come in from a distance.
Let's meet our first shooter. This is Scott McCree. His spotter will be Randy Powell. He's out of Mississippi. Oh, the first shot is off already, and it's a miss. Look at that, way high. You see the dust rise up there from the dirt backstop.
Yeah, Scott's shooting a 50 cal. This is the biggest cartridge we have in the competition. There's no mistake seeing the impacts of the 50.
And how about the impact of his first hit right there with shot number 2? Now that automatically qualifies him to go to target number 2, but there are points involved right here for every hit. So he'll take all the rest of them he's allowed to. Unfortunately, he was high again and missed shot number 3. Now you see a spotter give him directions right there. And it didn't work. Still looks like he's just a little bit high, Paul.
Yeah, notice the spotters, they're not in the scope. They have to stay in the scope the entire time to make sure that they see that shot.
Well, they did something right there. Shot number 5 is a hit, so 2 out of 5 is not too bad. Let's take a look at where he placed them. You can see 3 of them were all high, 2 of them on the target. Not toward the middle, though.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad group. They just need to center that group on the plate. Let's see how they do it the next plate here.
All right, now what did he adjust right here?
That was a windage adjustment he made.
It didn't work.
No call.
Yeah, it's pretty hard. You have to keep in that scope. You have to keep your eyes on the scope, and you have to concentrate. If you miss the slightest little impact, you won't be able to adjust the shooter.
Well, I saw that one. Rocks flying everywhere. He should be able to help him out now as he misses the number 2 shot.
Yeah, that's one thing about the 50. They make huge impacts, so it's a little easier to see the spots.
Last try. Nope, he's low again, so he will be out of competition right now. Here's our scoreboard, 2 out of 8. Not real great, not a lot of points. He kept adjusting for windage. We asked him about that.
If you start seeing it roll to the left, that means you got wind coming from right to left. If it rolls to the right, then obviously the same, opposite direction.
After the break, we'll meet this guy, Duncan Davis, when the King of 2 Miles competition, presented by McMillan Fiberglass Stocks, returns.
The King of 2 Miles is being brought to you by Lapua Bullets, passion for precision. Blackstone with Graphene by IA Coatings, innovation without boundaries. And by McMillan Fiberglass Stocks, molding the way America shoots.
Welcome back to week number 6 coverage. We're at the NRA Whittington Center in Raton, New Mexico, and we're covering King of 2 Miles, the competition being presented this week by McMillan Fiberglass Stocks. This is Duncan Davis. He hails from Phoenix, Arizona.
Duncan's a machinist with J.J. Rock Action. Rock McMillan actually owns the company, and that's a brother to Kelly McMillan, who's a sponsor on the TV show. These guys know how to build rifles. As you notice, they had the first round impact.
Well, guess what? They also, looks like they know how to hit the second one, too. Doing pretty well here on target number 1.
Yeah, he's got a good spotter, too. John Guy, right behind him. He's a former military and instructor.
Stay with what you got. Take your time.
Had a little bit of a miss, although he told him to stay with what you've got.
Yeah, it's centering your group.
Ah, it worked. Picked up another hit on the 4th shot.
As I told you before, sometimes you can overcorrect. They're staying with their group and they're centering up nice.
Hit number 5, not bad at all. Take a look, folks, right here. Only 1 miss. That's just a little bit high. Look at that number 2. Wow, right down the center of the target. Now, here's what's difficult. They go to target number 2, which is further away, but they're still in the same spot. It's a whole new shooting match, no pun intended, and the first one, he misses.
Yeah, that was just off to the right. John, his spotter, saw it. It was good elevation. It was just off to the right, so they're going to make a correction now on a hold.
Sounds like it worked.
And the wind is blowing, and they want to have a sense of urgency to get that 3rd shot off.
Sorry. Had a miss, but he has the right now to move on to the 3rd target because he only hit 1 out of 3 on target 2. But that's all you've got to do. Just hit 1. Didn't gain as many points, though. So here we go. Target 3, folks. We're over 1 mile right here. And he's low.
Not too bad. The wind was good. It was a good wind call. Just a little bit low.
You heard the spotter telling him what to do. Hold .5 right. And that worked.
Yeah, that was only about 6 inches right of center. He nailed that plate. Let's see if he can do it one more time.
Yeah, don't change a thing, Duncan. It worked.
Beautiful.
So he's got 2 out of 3 right now. That'll give him the right to move on to target number 4. Now, if he can hit just 1 of them on target 4, he will be qualified for our finals in the future.
Yeah, these guys are doing really well together. They're keeping a good tempo. John's on the wind, and he's doing a good job spotting. Beautiful. First round at the 4th plate, 1,990 yards.
Just up the left side. Come .2 right.
No, off just a little bit. But he's already qualified now for the final just with that first hit. That's all he needed.
Yeah, John's doing a good job. He's seeing these spots.
And another hit, 2 out of 3, so he accumulates some points. He has the right to move on to the finals. So we asked Duncan, what is the key to your success?
I used to shoot 1,000-yard bench rest a lot, and that's one of the secrets to that. Once you get the wind dialed in, you get the rounds downrange just as fast as you can. You kind of have to get them down quick. When that first round hit and my spotters are yelling, same hold, you just start pounding them in. You heard the communication back and forth where we had a little miscommunication about which side I hit on, and somebody was saying hold right and the others are saying center. I'd actually seen the impact, so I was able to tell out I need to hold center. So But communication's key. You know, you get your spotters and your shooters. If you can't communicate, you're not going to work.
I noticed the McMillan on his shirt. He also is using a McMillan stock. So let's find out a little bit more about McMillan fiberglass stocks. We sent Paul to do that job.
Kelly McMillan here with McMillan Fiberglass Stocks, leader in the industry for military, law enforcement, and competitive shooting in the civilian world, and also hunters. Also now with the ELR community, he's developed the Beast, and again, it's #1 stock in the industry. And I'll turn it over to you, Kelly, and tell us a little bit more about the company.
Thanks, Paul. Really glad to be here. Glad to be a sponsor of this great event. One of the things that we've been able to do this year is we developed a new stock specifically for ELR. It's called the ELR Beast. It's heavy duty, it's solid fore-end. It'll take the weight of those big 38-inch barrels and big heavy actions and give you the kind of rigidity and stiffness you need to be able to count on repeatability.
Kelly, tell me about these other stocks you have here.
Well, you know, to start off with, this is the A5 Super Mag. This basically was the only ELR stock on the market when we first made it a number of years ago for the ShyTac. The ShyTac was the first big caliber, big action that we've developed a stock for. And this was the basis of what most everybody's guns were up until just recently. This is a 50 cal, what we call our Super 50, and this is for the FCSA 50 cal competition, but it would be perfectly acceptable to shoot it in this match as long as you could attach a bipod to the front. It's actually trued both in this plane and in the other plane so that when the gun recoils, it recoils straight back. So the guys shooting off the bench really love that stock because all they have to do is push it back up to the stop and they're right on the same spot where they were when they pulled the trigger.
More King of 2 Miles presented by McMillan Fiberglass Stocks after this. Welcome back to the NRA Whittington Center and the King of 2 Miles presented by McMillan Fiberglass Stocks. Time now for another one of our visits to the Frank Brunel Museum.
When you come to visit the Frank Brunel Museum in the Southwest, the very first thing you're going to see when you walk through the doors is this 1895 Colt Gatling gun. This is a Spanish-American War era gun. They actually deployed 4 of them to Cuba during the war. These Gatling guns were chambered in 30-40 Craig, which is the same cartridge that their standard infantry carbines and rifles were chambered in, so it made it really convenient for the Army. They only had to ship one type of ammunition to Cuba. These guns had a horrendous effect on the Spanish and the Cubans. The rate of fire of about 600 rounds per minute was just absolutely devastating. This gun here is about 50% original. When it was found, it was more in pieces than together. And we're really proud of this particular gun. It's really unique.
Let's meet our next shooter, John Buhay from Stephen, Pennsylvania. His spotter will be Mark King.
One of the cool things about John's scope that I just noticed, he's actually got a red dot scope mounted on an angle. What he can do with that is he can use it for quick referencing. When he's transitioning around his targets, he can just look through the red dot, and then once he's on his target, he can go down to his scope. So that's actually the first time I've ever seen that. That's a great idea. And as you notice, he's hitting the plate.
It must be working. He's got 2 hits so far on target number 1. And the miss, just a little bit high.
You spoke too soon, Ted.
I did indeed. I jinxed him. Now the spotter's going to talk to him, tell him what he did wrong. Look, just lower back now, guy. And he did, and it worked. Another hit, 3 out of 4.
Yeah, sometimes it's okay. Just go up to your shooter, calm him down, get back in the game, and he put a hit on target.
So he got 4 out of 5. Let's take a look at where they were. Number 1 was pretty close to the middle there. Just high on his 3rd shot. Not bad at all. He amassed some points right there. And, of course, he gets to move on to target number 2.
So now he's on positions for his 2nd target. Let's see if they can put together a hit.
They did indeed. That's pretty good. I mean, going from 1 to 2, it's an entirely different target. It's further away, and yet he managed to pick up a hit. One more hit.
Yeah, those last 2 shots are only about 8 inches apart. Let's see if he can go for 3 for 3. Yeah, notice the spotter. He's right directly behind the shooter. That's going to help him pick up the trace and a correct angle on the spot.
And a little bit of a miss on that one. That's okay, though. Not bad at all. 2 out of 3, 4 out of 5. He'll move on now to target number 3. That's over a mile. We're getting real serious now, Paul.
Yeah, this is where as a shooter, you just want to take a deep breath, nice slow trigger squeeze, and listen to your spotter.
And a miss on that. Notice something else, folks. He wears glasses. He doesn't want to get too close to that scope because the recoil on that rifle is tremendous. Now, the spotter has gone up, talked to him, give him a little bit of advice. It didn't work. He's got one more shot to be able to move on to target 4. If he can't do that, he'll be out of competition. He consults back with the spotter.
The spotter saw the spot. It was high. He told him to come down low. No, it's still high.
Didn't come down low enough. So here's the way it worked. He strikes out on target number 3. And we asked John, what happened on target 3?
In that last target, all the shots were off windage, not elevation. So the wind is gusting one way or the other. So it's what it is. I mean, you do the best you can. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't.
This is Peter Davis. He's getting ready. We'll be right back to see how he does in qualifying for the King of 2 Miles, presented by McMillan Fiberglass Stocks.
King of 2 Miles is being brought to you by Night Force Optics. Rugged, reliable, repeatable. Applied Ballistics LLC, the science of accuracy. In by Z-Max Micro Lubricant. Protect your gun from harmful buildup.
You're watching King of 2 Miles competition, presented this week by McMillan Fiberglass Stocks. We're at the NRA Whittington Center, Raton, New Mexico. Let's meet our next shooter right now. This is Peter Davis. Now, remember John Buhay, who just shot? That's going to be one of his spotters, and his win coach, Mark King, who was the coach for John Buhay.
Yeah, Peter, I think, is shooting a 300 Win mag. This is one of the lightest calibers that's here in this competition. It's been really interesting to see how he does here. Oh, he shot and the spotter wasn't even behind the scope. That's going to hurt him. They hit down below the plate there. That's what I talked about before, the communication. The shooter's got to wait for the spotter to tell him, hey, spotter's up. They just lost a shot there. Let's hope they can pick. Oh, nice hit. They're on target now.
Another hit. I think the spotter is saying, don't change a thing. Yes, no communication right now. He says, you're doing just fine. And it worked. The last 3 are hits. Take a look right here at Peter Davis' results. The first 2 were a miss. But look at number 5, right down the middle. That's incredible. So we go to target number 2 now.
Yeah, he just hit off the right edge there, about 3 inches from the right edge of the target.
But it still counts, right?
It still counts. Yes, absolutely. He made an impact. If you notice his head is free from the stock. Nice hit. Typically, a lot of people have a cheek rest and or some type of material in between their cheek and the stock. He's doing it freely. His head's moving around.
3 hits in a row. So look at that, not bad. He had 2 misses to start off, and since then he has been right on, amassing those points and the right to move on to target number 3.
Yeah, that little 300 Winchester Magnum's doing pretty good.
A little bit low right there.
Yeah, this is where it stretches out. 1890, it's over a mile away. This is where the ballistics can come in handy there. It just doesn't have quite the velocity for the distance, and also for impacts. It's a little light.
And he misses one more time. Now he has to get to target 4 in order to make it to the finals. He has one more shot to do it. Not today. Too bad for Peter Davis as he goes down in the 3rd round. Target number 3, you can see right there, 3 misses. He was right on with target 2. What happened with target 3, Peter?
It was a little tough. The wind picked up. Tried to correct for it. Every time I corrected, it was the wrong correction. So no excuses other than I got to shoot better, that's all.
We now have 6 qualifying shooters to go to the final. Look how close it is with the top 3 right there. Fravert, Polabel, and our own Paul Phillips, all with 39,000 and some. 6 guys. Who else will join them? You'll have to tune in next week to find out as we continue our coverage of King of 2 Miles. I'm Ted Jones. For Paul Phillips, thanks for watching. So long, everyone, from New Mexico.